It shrinks my liver, doesn't it, Nat? It pickles my kidneys, yes. But what does it do to my mind?
The golden age of Hollywood sparkled with glamour, talent, and unforgettable films. But behind the scenes, the studio system ruled with an iron fist, and even the brightest stars were vulnerable to heartbreak, scandal, and power struggles. Today, we're diving into 5 true stories that show a different side of Hollywood's most legendary names. From secret pregnancies to studio betrayals, these tales remind us that even icons had their breaking points. Lita Gray. Charlie Chaplin, beloved silent film pioneer, creative genius, and the man behind the iconic Tramp, was riding high in the mid-1920s. He was directing and starring in The Gold Rush, a film that would become one of his most celebrated works. But behind the camera, things were far from idyllic. He cast a teenage actress named Lita Gray, real name Lilita McMurray, as the film's romantic lead. She had worked with Chaplin before, appearing as a child in The Kid and The Idol class. She was just 15 when Chaplin selected her for The Gold Rush, and soon their professional relationship turned personal. Within 6 months of filming, Lita was pregnant with Chaplin's child. Chaplin arranged a secret wedding in Mexico. He was 35. She was still a teenager. Publicly, Chaplin's press agent claimed Lita had left the film and acting altogether to enjoy married life. But the real story was far more complicated. As her pregnancy advanced, it became impossible to keep filming. Chaplin dismissed her from The Gold Rush and replaced her with actress Georgia Hale. While the world knew nothing of the scandal, Lita's career had been quietly derailed, and Chaplin went on with the film as if nothing had happened. Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton, the master of deadpan expression and physical comedy, had been a darling of silent cinema. Audiences adored his films like The General and Steamboat Bill Jr., which showcased his stunt work and creative freedom. But when the talkies took over, Keaton found himself at odds with Hollywood's new way of doing business. In 1928, he signed with MGM, a studio known for its rigid structure and mass production approach. Gone were the days when Keaton called the shots on set. MGM gave him a supervisor, a team of writers, and no control over his own material. Creatively suffocated and deeply unhappy, Keaton turned to alcohol. His drinking worsened, especially while filming. The man once hailed as a cinematic innovator now felt like a cog in a machine, stripped of the very spark that had made him a legend. The tipping point came in 1932 when MGM boss Louis B. Mayer crashed a raucous party in Keaton's dressing room. Furious at the intrusion and the studio's increasing grip on his life, Keaton erupted, throwing Mayer and his entourage out. The fallout was swift. Days later, Keaton skipped an important MGM publicity event. The studio responded by firing him. It was a quiet end to his reign as one of Hollywood's most original minds, replaced not with gratitude but with expediency. They didn't waste time either. MGM quickly moved on, courting the Marx Brothers as their next big comedy act. Gene Kelly. In the golden age of Hollywood musicals, Gene Kelly was a household name. He could dance, sing, act, and he had the charisma to light up the screen. From An American in Paris to Singin' in the Rain, he wasn't just the star. He choreographed the numbers that made movie history. But in 1947, right before production on Easter Parade, things took a turn. Kelly was eager to start rehearsals, planning to spend weeks fine-tuning the choreography. But on the very day the script was finalized, disaster struck. Kelly broke his leg. He told the studio he'd injured himself while practicing a dance routine. But that wasn't true. The real story? A heated volleyball game with friends. Frustrated at losing points, Kelly kicked a wooden door frame in anger and fractured his ankle. Embarrassed, he fabricated the dance injury to protect his image. After all, he was known as the perfectionist showman. How could he admit to something so impulsive and foolish? But there was no fixing his schedule. Rather than delay the film, MGM brought in his only true rival, Fred Astaire. With Kelly sidelined, Astaire took the lead in Easter Parade and delivered yet another memorable performance. For Kelly, it wasn't just about missing a role, it was about watching a lifelong competitor step into the spotlight he'd prepared for. It was a painful moment, both physically and professionally, for Kelly. Loretta Young. In the 1930s, no scandal was more dangerous to a female star's career than an unwed pregnancy. Loretta Young knew that better than anyone. During the filming of Call of the Wild in 1935, Young became pregnant. According to later accounts, including her daughter-in-law's interview with BuzzFeed News, the pregnancy was the result of a sexual assault by her co-star, Clark Gable. Fox executives, desperate to avoid a public scandal, pushed her to have a secret abortion. But Young, a devout Catholic who opposed abortion, refused. The studio concocted a cover story. Loretta Young was suffering from a mysterious illness and would be recuperating in Europe. In truth, she returned to Los Angeles, gave birth in private, and later staged a public adoption of her own child, 19 months after the birth. The deception worked. Her career was saved. But that wasn't the end of her defiance. In 1939, with her career fully revived, Young refused a lucrative 5-year contract from Fox worth $2 million. Instead, she tried to work outside the rigid studio system, signing individual deals with independent producers. The move backfired. Hollywood closed ranks, and most studios refused to hire her. In the span of 2 years, she appeared in just one film, Eternally Yours, for United Artists. She had fought to make her own choices. But in the Hollywood of the 1930s, that kind of independence came at a steep price. Ray Milland. Ray Milland spent much of his early career at Paramount playing charming, light-hearted leading men. Comedies, westerns, swashbuckling adventures, he did it all. So when the studio cast him in The Lost Weekend, a dark drama about an alcoholic spiraling over 4 days, Milland was unsure he was the right fit. But he rose to the challenge. He lost weight, spent nights observing real alcoholics in a New York hospital, and even got drunk in public to understand his character's mindset. His performance was so raw and powerful that it earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1946. It was a turning point, proof that he could handle serious, emotionally demanding roles. For Milland, it wasn't just a career high, it was a personal evolution as an actor. But after the accolades faded, Paramount tried to return him to lighter fare. In 1948, they cast him in Bride of Vengeance, a gothic thriller that Milland felt was beneath him. He refused to show up for filming. In blunt terms, he told Paramount the script was weak and the film would flop. The studio didn't appreciate the honesty. They suspended him for 2 months and swiftly replaced him with John Lund. Milland had gambled on his artistic instincts, and while he kept his dignity, the studio made sure he paid for it. In old Hollywood, the lights might have been bright, but the shadows ran deep. These stories remind us that fame often came with a heavy cost, especially when power was imbalanced and choices were limited. Behind the glamorous posters and smiling premieres, there were contracts, secrets, and moments of rebellion that shaped the lives of our most beloved stars. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe for more true stories from the golden age of film.